All right, so we're back on the record. So Exhibit A, the Our Family Wizard, correct. Fonseca, yes. No objection. No objection. Okay, great. Admitted. Exhibit A is admitted into evidence. Fonseca, Exhibit B, the monitor reports. Court, did I even see those? No, it was on our joint statement to come in automatically, and we tabled talking about them because you said that would come during custody visitation, but I know you're making some temporary custody and visitation. The court, let's table those because I want to have a separate record in case there's an appeal for the DVRO. Okay, so you can introduce those monitored reports for the custody portion. Okay, the court Fonseca, okay, L. The court this was the TikTok comments made by Grandma that she was questioned about on the stand. Ms. Butnick, I would just object that they're irrelevant. It was threats made by Grandma after they put up testimony about alleged threats made against Grandma by my client, Ms. Budnick, and I would object to the characterization of the post as a threat. I believe it was a post saying she would seek grandparent visitation rights. The court, that's fine. I mean, none of this is helpful to me in deciding the DVRO, but that's fine. That's why my objection was relevance. The court, well, I think she said in response, anyway, they come in. Wait, what the actual fuck are we talking about? Let me turn that fan off. So, Allie, so in my bio, it's a Linktree link. So if you, on this profile, if you look in my bio, you'll see a Linktree link. It's there. And then all my like socials are tagged in that. So like Instagram, favorited, YouTube, I don't know, some other pages. I think my Twitch page, which I'm trying to get up and running. And then what you're looking for, I think, is at the bottom. Wait, I'm so confused. Why didn't she need case law for this? Am I crazy? I can't do this. I can't argue. Okay. Miss Fun, P, the pictures of bruising on Brianna's face. Any objections? Yeah, I object. They were not authenticated. They lack foundation. I think her testimony was all over the place with respect to dates, with respect to what was depicted. So I would object to those come. Okay, before you respond again, I'm trying to narrow down the scope of, I'm not taking anything away from Miss Olsen to the extent that she alleged that she was physically abused by Mr. Gacy. The reason why the court, as I'm thinking about it, I don't know if it was the best idea to open this, was to negate potentially, because there's a representation of, we'll get into the domestic violence, it would negate that, his peace was disturbed and all that, so I let it in. But I will say, and I'm not dismissing it, but it's not particularly helpful. She alleged he slapped her in the car. Then there's a video of him playing that. It may not have been the full thing. You can't hear that well. I will say in the original testimony, the injuries are not consistent with one slap. There's 3 separate bruises, and then she said that there was a different bruise. So I let it in because I said I'd let it in, and it's consistent. Well, it's evidence in support of that testimony. I will say that the testimony does not help me in any way, shape, or form in deciding this matter. So I'll let it in, but I don't know what the relevance is. So then why are you letting it in? What the fuck is happening right now? How? 2 times in a row, like the first 2 pieces of evidence. We're not asking for no case law. We're literally saying how we don't understand the relevance, but whatever, we'll let it in. The fuck is happening around these parts, dude? I can't do this. I can't fucking do this. I'm gonna go crazy. I'm literally gonna go crazy. But she fought John's attorney, the judge, on almost every single piece of evidence. Sorry, y'all. I didn't mute because whatever. I'm blowing my nose. Like, it happens. We're not doing a bump break right now, so you get to hear what comes out. And just be glad you're not hearing what else comes out. If you know, Pookie. Okay, anyway, sorry. Let's focus. I gotta get through this shit. I can't do this. Great. So, Exhibit P is admitted. No argument. Miss Fonseca, okay, question. Can the clerk turn the sound back on? My staff said that they can't hear since we came back from break. Or they can't hear over the very loud fan. Miss Fonseca, No, it's just muted. The court. Okay. Ms. Fonseca, Exhibit AA. This is the clip and transcript of John talking about Brianna's sexual health. Ms. Budnick. No, I think the court. Well, in fairness, Ms. Budnick, you can't have it both ways. I understand. So if all of this, brief pause in the proceedings. The court. All right. Those come in. That comes in. Great. Fonseca, CC. This was the John's Live with the transcript where he was playing a recording that he took of Brianna, which was regarding the incident that she testified about as to the DV. Ms. Budnick, I feel like there's so many foundational and authentication issues with that recording. My client wasn't even asked about it. Yeah, that doesn't come in because of, yeah. What? Wait, what's happening? Yeah, that doesn't come in because of, yeah. What? I don't know, Grinchness. I didn't document her fucking outfits. You in this fucking outfit. What the hell is going on? Exhibit CC is not admitted. HH, the live and transcript of John regarding the justice to raunchy hoes. I also object to that. My client wasn't asked about it. It's not authenticated. Wait, what is the... Ms. Budnick, was he? I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a different recording. The court, hold on. What is an objection that your client was not asked about if they introduce it? How is that the basis of an objection? Ms. Budnick, well, I guess if the purpose of it was the effect that she had when she heard it. The court, just because you opted not to offer and have your client, that does not mean she can't authenticate it and say, I heard this, I saw this. I understand what you're saying. Okay, so that comes in. Ms. Fonseca, KK. This was the video with no transcript because it was just music of Swag Boy Q recording John and John smiling at the camera outside of the MILF house on the day of the March incident. I have no objection other than just the recording depicts my client pacing and court. Okay. Budnick, at one point he smiles. Okay, that's not an objection. You argue so it comes in. Girl, shut the fuck. This judge is pissing me the fuck off. Sorry. Hi, Miss Beverly. How are you, Pookie Butt? Can everybody hit repost and share one time? Okay. Well, the reason that I'm getting pissed off is because if y'all were here in the live I just did right before I reset, and you literally at every single fucking exhibit that they were trying to admit, the judge was fighting it. Oh, Lindsay over there didn't have really a single fucking argument except she just kept saying relevance. I guess relevance. Literally, she's quoted in the transcripts as saying, I guess relevance. The judge fought them every single step of the way. I need case law. Not for old fucking Lindsay here. It's literally insanity. What's going on in these California courts? What a fucking joke, man. A fucking joke. What up, Gossip Grim? What is this? I understand. Okay. This was the video and transcript of John and his mom and W being interviewed at Swagboy Q's house right after they got W back in LA during the March incident. Objection? It was not an interview, but I have no objection. So I'll take that as a no. Great. Admitted. Correct. In the interest of time, we either have an objection or we don't have an objection. Go ahead. See, this is another thing that's fucking pissing me off. I gotta stop. I gotta remove my emotions from this. So now, for the interest of time, we either have an objection or we don't have an objection. But when it was the other way around, we allowed Lindsay to give her little fucking side RR, the video and transcript of John being live online talking about winning full custody. I just don't have a recollection of this exhibit. I know that it was played. RR, the transcript. Do you know the page on that, Ms. Fonseca? Sorry, I think I can pull it up. Actually, it's okay. I have it. It's 639 in the transcript. Oh, no. I don't have an objection to this. Okay, great. Admitted. TT, was the video and transcript of John saying, I'm going to take this baby and give it to my mom and you're going to pay her child support? I object to this on relevance. This was the clip that respondent testified actually was created before W was even born. Ms. Fonseca, that's not as she testified. She testified she saw that in April. She did not testify as to when it was created. It was created by John. All right, that doesn't come in. Does not come in, you said? Does not come in on a foundation issue. Lindsay, What's going on, babe? You're not comprehending? The fuck, bitch? You was the video and transcript of John's interview with Perez Hilton where he said no comment and started laughing as to the question about domestic violence. Miss Butnick, that's irrelevant. Well, it's not. Somebody saying no comment can mean so many things. It doesn't prove anything. So under relevance, that doesn't come in. Hold on. Let me just I have to. I know I gotta move. I gotta keep it moving. But let's just look at this again. That's irrelevant. The court. This is the judge responding. Well, it's not. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. Somebody saying no comment can mean so many things. It doesn't prove anything. So under relevance, that doesn't come in. Am I nuts? I feel like I'm losing my shit. Anyway, sorry. Keep it moving. KKK. Ooh, not KKK. Was the video and transcript of John threatening Santos and saying he gave Bree the deal of her fucking life. The court. That's irrelevant. Thank you. That would be my objection as well. Not coming in. So, what I mean, tell me what the relevance is if he's threatening Santos. We let in the clips, or we let in at least one clip of the reverse of Santos allegedly threatening John. Right, but only in connection that I said, I was very clear when I said this, is the one time where there was a connection between your client and something that a third party did, and so I connected the two. To me, that's like the seminal clip. Ms. Fonseca, the hotel clip and the restaurant clip, no. Well, I don't know if it's the restaurant clip where she's talking and seems almost gleeful that they went to Mr. Gacy's hotel. That's where there is a connection between the two, but Mr. Santos is not. Mr. Santos is not seeking a restraining order here, so that doesn't come in. Let's see. The video and transcript of John admitting to embarrassing Santos online and making other disparaging remarks against him. That was PPP. Same objection. This is not about Santos. That does not come in. Fucking dumbass. She's literally the most... the both of them. Just morons, bro. Absolute fucking capital MOWs dash RONSs. Morons. CCCC, the 8/22/25 Snapchat video and transcript of John advertising his Snapchat inside the courthouse. Ms. Budnick, objection, this is irrelevant. The court, what's the relevance other than it was a really bad idea? It was in violation of the court order and it may very well affect my decision. What? See, this is what's fucking crazy to me. That may very well affect your decision, but the number of things when his attorney was introducing different exhibits that you just so willingly brushed off and said this will have no, this will not be taken into account in my decision making. Him advertising his fucking Snapchat? Bro, miss me with your fucking bullshit. Motive for filing the restraining order in the first place being for monetization and clout. He can't demonstrate something that was filed in March. The motive for that filing can't be demonstrated by something that happened this week. It's an ongoing motive. He's made repeated posts like this. The court. Well, look, by his own mouth, he said that he earned six figures just from the posting regarding the police standoff, for lack of better terms. I think there is sufficient evidence that he has profited monetarily from this whole proceeding, as has she. So that doesn't come in. Overruled. No, it's not overruled. Because, see, this is where I'm getting pissed off. The objection was by Miss Butnick. So you didn't overrule it, because if you had overruled it, you would have sided with fucking Lindsay Fonseca, Esquire. Shit for brains. Anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter. Fonseca, HHHH was the music video that we watched today in the transcript. The court, tell me how you think that is relevant. So as to him creating this whole kidnapping narrative online, and now you don't like that word, I know you don't like that word, but that's the word that the court, and I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's not that I don't like it. It's that the court never made that comment. But I understand your point, Ms. Fonseca. Your point is that he monetized the word. Why are you making arguments for her? She has to make the point on her own. You can't say your point is that he... Let her make that argument. Like, why? This is stupid. Monetize the word kidnapping, and that was all part of your position. I'm not saying I agree that he created this narrative online that W had been kidnapped and that increased the amount he received. Correct? Miss Fonseca. And then never corrected it after we had that conversation with the court on May 2nd. So it goes to that part, and then to he brought in the exhibit about, oh, I'm upset because Santos is allegedly making a diss track, yet he dropped diss track about Brianna the day he filed an ex parte for alleged kidnapping. And then impeachment as well the testimony he gave. I think 2 days ago, I was disgusted that he was in this MILF house because I believe they use illicit drugs in there, and he's making or posting a rap video or whatever it's called, making rug reference. Nobody's making rug references, you dumb cunt. The court. Okay, I'll let you respond in a second, Ms. Budnick. Here's the only potential relevance of this. There was much testimony, and I think that kind of, again, but I still disagree with Ms. Budnick's perception regarding whether the alleged defamatory statements can be served as a basis for his peace being disturbed. To the extent this word defamatory, if this judge doesn't learn a new word, I'm gonna shit myself right now in my chair. To the extent the fact that he testified that he was upset and he was stressed. There were lots of videos about the exchange and how stressful this was. And my understanding was Ms. Olsen testified that she saw this video, sort of, in the court of law, that he doesn't look particularly upset or stressed. So it's relevant to that, but the rug thing, I don't know. It's neither here nor there. All right, did you want to be heard anymore? I guess there has been no evidence whatsoever that this song was created in connection with the March incident or that the music video was filmed in connection with the March incident. My understanding of the music business is songs that take time to create. Music videos take time to create. The idea that this was a song that was written, published, distributed all on the same day in connection with that, I don't think it's sufficiently attenuated to show any kind of connection to the incident. The court. The only thing is what she testified to, what she saw posted, and what she believed to be his TikTok. I think did she say the 24th? The 24th was the date on the video. Yes, on his actual TikTok is where I accessed it, the court. So that was the day before this, all this drama. So it's relevant to that. It undermines potentially his credibility on that one. No case law. Where's the case law? Anything else? No, that was it off our list. All right. Do you guys want me to give you a tentative, or do you just want to argue and then I'll hear from both? I think it would be helpful for me if the court gives a tentative, and then since we're already at 3:42, that would help. Is that okay with you, Ms. Fonseca? Yes. I want to make a couple of perfunctory comments. The case I also went back and looked at was, you heard in this case law, baby, was Evans versus Evans 126 California Appellate 4th 1157-1116. That's another case. I think it's a DVRO. Miss Budnick, I know, I read that. I just can't, I feel like I referenced that in the brief. The court, right. So this is a case where it was a former DVRO, but he basically sued his former wife, alleging cause of action, including harassment, defamation, and breach of privacy. And one of the things that he sought to enjoin her from was publishing false and defamatory statements about him on the internet, publishing confidential personal information, etc. And again, I think that case talked a lot about defamation and how you enjoin in it. And the reason why I say all this is the purpose of a domestic violence restraining order is to protect the peace and give them some peace and to give them some distance from each other so that they can, because what you're doing is an injunction. You're telling someone don't do X. And historically, it would have been in the context of don't commit physical violence against somebody, and we're enjoining you from harassing, molesting, disturbing the peace, etc. Because the idea is that the conduct that had occurred previously, which rose to the level of domestic violence, needs to be enjoined or stopped, or the parties to have peace. There has been no colorable evidence that Miss Olsen committed physical violence against Mr. Gacy. The large bulk of the evidence that I saw produced was in the vein of alleged defamatory statements. And so, in essence, me saying to someone, don't use physical violence against anyone, if I issued that order, it would be meaningless because there was no evidence she did that, has done it before, will do it again. In terms of the sort of harass, molest, destroy peace, well, harass, let's talk about harass. Most of those cases we talked about that I reviewed, and we've all talked about them, were cases where there was direct contact by one party to the other, calling, texting, emailing, etc. In those cases, the court said that is sort of this harassing pattern or conduct. Or we have a case like evil sizer, where you have a private figure whose private and sensitive information was improperly accessed by one of the parties and was revealed to the other, to like family members or things like that, and made more public. None of which is the case here. What we have is public postings by a public figure, as public as you can be on traditional First Amendment, about another public figure. And that's where the First Amendment is as authentic. Oh yeah, that's the right word. Yeah, it fits. When you're asking the court to, in essence, prevent words of speech, you have to be cognizant of the First Amendment and its protections, especially in a case like this. Not all speech is protected. Speech that is defamatory is not protected. But I believe the courts have said in Evans and others that your remedy to do that is not to enjoin in the future, because that's a prior restraint. And how do you do that? And the courts have said, the only time you do that is when the speech has already been determined to be defamatory. And I'm not going to decide, because this is not a defamation case. And related to that is when someone successfully sues for defamation, one of the remedies, one of the damages is emotional distress. That kind of stuff that they're talking about. That's why you bring a defamation case. You said false statements to me on the internet. They were false. You did those with reckless disregard for the truth, because I'm a public figure. I suffered emotional damage, distress. Those are my damages. That's not what you're asking for here. You're asking me to basically enjoin future conduct, enjoin basically similar conduct, and it'd be interesting to know exactly what you're seeking to have enjoined. I heard some initially reference to maybe she revealed naked pictures to someone. That might be because that's revenge porn potentially. I heard no further evidence of it. I heard a little bit and I heard nothing after. I didn't hear when, I didn't hear by whom, I didn't hear how. I heard nothing more of that. And in fact, I also heard, again, no disrespect to either party, that he may have had an OF account in which he may have engaged in sexual acts publicly on the internet. That's not, first of all, FO is not public. Let me make that very clear. Also, I'd like to know what acts he engaged in, because as old root beer will tell you, I am a day one subscriber and have been subscribed for 38 months to his FO. And not once has he engaged in okay, so I'm not about to argue about what's public and what's not. Regardless, I don't really give a fuck. Okay? That's my opinion on it. I don't really give a fuck. There, it's public. Feel better? Does everybody feel better? Right, softball mama. I'm not about to argue with anybody about what is the definition of public and what's not. I don't have time for that today. I'm dealing with these two. I'm not bad-mouthing him for that. I'm not criticizing him for that. I'm not, that is also a First Amendment expression, but that might have been, had there been more evidence that had occurred, that could have been the basis of the DVRO. I didn't hear enough to meet the preponderance of the evidence standard. So, what does his Twitter have to do with anything? Anyway, I don't have time for that. I don't care. I have a headache. What I did hear, and where I do believe the courts have said the First Amendment and the First Amendment has a limit, is threats. Because there is all this case law that talks about, and there's different kinds of criminal acts that there. No, he doesn't. But anyway, I don't care. The conversation's over. So I'm not continuing that Mods, what was the phone conversation that we had before we got on live? Oh, I hate it here. I love it here. You say it to a person, I'm going to kick your ass, whatever it is, but there can also be a lot of certain criminal threats. I'm going to unalive you. I'm going to do this. Mandy, you're also not doing what I told them not to do. Okay, I gotta refocus. I'm about to turn the comments off for a minute. And those the courts have said are not protected. And in fact, if you look at sort of the categories, it's interesting. Because if you look at the categories of what can be the basis of the DVRO, in this case, we don't have the first couple, which is SA, physical, fear of immediate physical harm, those kinds of things. What we're really all talking about is, you say harassment, but respectfully, and I know you guys will all research this to the hills, I have not been given a case which defines harassment in this context that we have seen where someone clearly does not directly make those comments to someone else or call them or email incessantly, but somebody posts something on something. I don't know if she sort of said, I knew that he would see it. I don't think we ever made that connection per se, but because he said he blocked her, but I have not been given a case that said in this context, her public posting is something that he may or may not see as harassment. So what I'm left with, and where I do think actually there is sufficient evidence, is these threats. There were threats. There were several threats. And those, I think, and that's why I tried to telegraph everybody in the beginning, but everybody just kept doing their thing, and that's okay. But there were several of those, both to his mother, but most importantly, directly to Mr. Gacy, and all through those, let's see. Look, I think the most clear one is the thing involving the hotel, because that's the only time, there was a lot of testimony in the beginning about what Santos did or did not do. My sense is Santos listens only to Santos. This court had made some orders, I think, of not filming and understanding who's filming. There were a lot of times where he was sort of doing it on his own. Mr. Gacy provided testimony that he and Santos had beef, and so my sense is Santos did what Santos wanted to do on his own. Where I think that changed was the incident with the hotel, because there was testimony, and Mr. Gacy specifically said, I was at that hotel. They knew where I was. There's a video of them at that hotel. Mr. Gacy said, I recognize the hotel in the background. And I'm not going to get into the statements that Santos said because I don't need to. There's the hotel. Mr. Gacy identified the hotel. That's Exhibit 34. Whoops. Then we have Exhibit 73, and that's Miss Olsen's own words, and she said, and so then we were trolling him and she said, we. She may not have been in the video, but in this statement, she puts herself there, and she said, we were yeah, we're on the way. And then we made them go outside because we're outside. And Chris, what did he do? He got up and knocked on all the doors of the hotel. That telegraphs me she was there. She saw what happened, because I guess they're all staying next to each other. And then I guess this is Santos says, bro, he was scared. He had to get out. And Brianna is like, come out, guys. We're going outside. And so then she doesn't say they, she says we. And so then we made them go outside, and they were looking around, and they're so dumb. And then she says, and then we posted the video of him fighting MA on our Twitter. So if y'all want to go see it, we posted the video. And yeah, wait, run my flowers. So that's troubling. And that's not really words, that's actions. So that, I think, even more so takes us out of the First Amendment. And so I have that because she's also, there were other statements where, okay, what the fuck? Oh my God. I'm not even reading the chat right this second. Thank you for the gifts, bae. Look at Exhibit 34, March 16th. Prior to the incident with the police, where my baby at? Dead ass, bring me my baby, bring me my baby. I'm gonna fuck you and your mom up. Not just the mom, him, dead ass. Fuck you and your fat ass mama. I'm gonna fuck you all up. That's a threat. Let's see, 43. Yeah, we should just go kidnap our kids. Yes, all right, fuck it. That's the plan, count on it. Why? Do you think she's going to clock me? Oh, that's good to say before court. It's a joke. We ride at dawn. I see that as a threat sort of combined with everything else. There were more. 56. I think Mr. Gacy testified that he saw her around March 23rd. Brianna, no, bitch. You're trying to fuck with me and my kid, and I'll fuck you up, bitch. Whoever's listening to this, play this shit. Wherever you want to play this shit, bitch. I will burn your fucking city down, bitch. You're not going to keep me away from my child. You will go down with your fucking city. Dead ass, bitch. I'm actually fucking insane. If you want to see it, you can see it. I don't care. And then she says, well, she testified, she said, I wasn't talking about John Gacy genuinely. I didn't find that credible. It was clear to me who she was talking about. I mean, there's lots about the water gun look. It's a water pew-pew. I'm not taking away from it. And it seems like a joke to her. Maybe not, but she keeps talking. There's multiple things with the water pew-pew. Should we hit him with the pew-pew? No, save it for Jen. I mean, save it for, oops, I can't say, the water pew-pew is kind of neither here nor there. I think if it were a water pew-pew alone, I think it would be, but to me, it's the water pew-pew in conjunction with all these other prior statements about burning the city down and going to his hotel room. 64A. Shoot his mom straight in the face. She deserves it. And again, I don't care so much about the W pew or the water pew pew, but again, I look at 64D at the bottom. Brianna, should I fight John right now? Yeah. Will I get arrested? No, don't do it. Don't do it for real. She's threatening to fight him. That is relevant. That is the kind of things that I think the court can use as a basis for a DVRO, not all these sort of alleged defamatory statements. And then also 64, I think is it F or G, where it's the one thing, it's the one that's 7 pages, and I'm looking at page 6, which starts with Slag Boy, and then she says, guys, seriously, in all seriousness, I will fucking burn cities down to see my baby. I will legally burn cities down. In what legal way are you burning a city down? I'm just curious, Brianna. What is the legal way to burn a city down? Is she directing that to him? I don't know. But in conjunction with other places where she does, I think it could be taken, obviously, as a threat under the preponderance of the evidence standard. So I do believe the one. I think on her going to and she puts herself there, I think her going to the hotel alone would be enough. There are other things that I've said, the statements, the threats that I've heard. There's one more, Exhibit 3. I mean, granted, it's more towards mother, but she says, PTSD, bitch. I've got PTSD, bitch. Your mama next. I'm pretty sure that's referencing Mr. Gacy's mom. Aw, was that too far? I'll cry about it, ho. No, dead ass. I'm not going to say anything. Never mind. She said some horrible things about being stuck up each other. Again, that's potentially defamatory. Could be disturbing the peace. Maybe, maybe not. Then Exhibit 75, Santos says, let me catch him outside. I know that's Santos, but Miss Olsen is there. She says he didn't say any names, and then she downplays it. No one's threatening anyone. We're not saying names. I don't think that's credible. And Santos says, I will whoop his fucking ass. Again, that cannot necessarily be attributable. I would say attributed, but that one is not as strong. But there are a number of them. There are a number. And I believe those threats alone, that is exactly the type of speech that is not protected under the First Amendment. It could be the basis of a domestic violence restraining order. So I would be inclined to grant one on the basis of those. Let me hear from you, Ms. Fonseca. Oh, God, here we go. Here goes Lindsay. Good old Linz. What do we have left? Oh, sorry, it's wanting me to edit my live goal. Welcome in, everybody. If you're new here, tap the screen a little bit, drop your daily heart me's, and if you can and are willing to and would like to, I think I have 2 things left on my gift gallery, and I also have a live goal. Gifts are not required. They are just appreciated. You can always stay in my lives without gifting. It's not a requirement. Okay, here we go. Here goes Bree's attorney. So back to the case that we talked about earlier, the one that Ms. Butnick brought up about the standard. It is disturbing the peace standard of the person that actually filed the restraining order, not of the reasonable objective standard. So regarding when he said his peace was disturbed, I guess we should, Mandy, thank you, my love. We should go, and is this like technically our closing, or am I just responding to the court? Well, you can make your closing. I will say one more thing on that. Mr. Gacy testified that he was scared when they came to his hotel. That I believed, because she was outside with Santos and somebody else threatening to, that I found credible. And to me, that alone, I do believe what the case law says. It says it doesn't have to be reasonable, but the way I read it, is that I have to believe that he actually felt that his peace was disturbed. And I do believe as to that incident alone. So you can give your closing. I just wanted to telegraph what my tentative was if you wanted to address it in your closing. Okay, so I can go out of order? That's okay. Lindsay, why are you always so much fucking confused, bitch? Get it together. You know who I need in this courtroom is fucking E. Kane. What the fuck is going on, Lindsay? Why are you so goddamn confused always? Sure, that's okay with you, miss. I have no issue. Okay, so it's a similar position that the DVRO was filed for an improper purpose. For content, yeah, I need E. Kane in the courtroom narrating this. for views to continue to harass Brianna following the end of their relationship. I personally did not find he and his mom's testimony to be credible. There was a lot of conflicting testimony given between the two of them. For example, the 2K private investigator group chat that John testified about, where he said those were clippers that give him free content. That makes my client look bad. When grandma was called, nobody needs to make your client look bad, Lindsay. Let's be abundantly fucking clear. Brianna Olsen is very much capable and does so on a regular basis of making herself look bad. When grandma was called to the stand, the first topic that counsel chose to cover with her was that exact topic, and grandma changed the entire narrative and said that was just a family group chat and good fun and had nothing to do with the case. It was actually grandma that testified about dad having panic attacks. In all these different instances, dad never actually testified that he ever had panic attacks. He said he feels anxiety when random strangers flood his chat feed. And then it was mom that testified that he threw up on the day of the alleged kidnapping incident, but his testimony, I don't even think he testified about that himself. As for the whole kidnapping situation, the testimony confirmed, oh shit. I am on Do Not Disturb, right? Yeah, why is that coming through? Yeah, I'm on Do Not Disturb. What the helly? The testimony confirmed from Grandma, Brianna, and John that the exchange in Texas was done between Grandma and Brianna because John was already here. Also, the end of today kind of confirmed why John was in LA. He was dropping a music video on the same day that he filed an ex parte motion. Brianna confirmed prior to the police coming to her house the following day in her testimony, and the Our Family Wizard messages also confirmed that John... Oh my God. Why are messages coming through? No, it's text messages. Okay, well, they need to stop doing that. Girl, I don't even know who that was that just sent that. Whatever, not my problem. I'm just kidding, it is my problem. Like, okay, well, why would they do that? Why would anybody that sees you, like, it's not, your message was not important. You sent a broken heart. like a broken heart. That's what needed to get through? Shut the fuck up. Sorry, not y'all, them. Let's see, which was the day of the custodial exchange in Texas. On the 24th, when he was in LA dropping his music video on the same day that he was filing the ex parte kidnapping motion, he did not reach out to her at all. He never called her. He never texted her. She testified that Ms. Butnick never called her, never texted her. She testified that on that day of the ex parte motion, the 24th, that nobody ever showed up at the MILF house to try and serve her with the order. Same thing on the morning of the 25th. She testified nobody ever came to serve her, so her first encounter with the orders was via Our Family Wizard that morning, which John's testimony was, I was sick to my stomach. I didn't know where my kid was. I called a single welfare check to LAPD. I filed this motion. But then we see that Our Family Wizard conversation between them tells a completely different story. They were talking leading up to the police coming to the MILF house that day about meeting at the police station. Brianna said that was too far. He's having a nap. Of course it was too far, because heaven forbid Brianna is inconvenienced, yet she can travel across the fucking country to go on how many fucking vacations with fucking Sandra. John said, you shouldn't have taken him. So just goes again to John's credibility about him being disturbed, concerned, bothered, etc. Because they were in fact talking before the police even got... So because they were talking before the police got there, that somehow means that he wasn't concerned? Lindsay, you're stretching, babe. He didn't drop the music the other day. He filed the ex parte. He dropped it when they went to court. She was literally drinking the other day. I'm screaming. Brianna confirmed that she did not have a lawyer at any time during March. She did not have a lawyer on the phone, as Ms. Butnick had tried to say in some... Because that's what they were... Anyway, it doesn't matter. In some of those clips that we watched today, it was her managers directing her as to what to do. She confirmed that Itai and Jordan were her managers at that time. Denied Ms. Butnick's question about one of them being her romantic partner, and that it was those two that were directing her what to do, and she had to listen to them because she was there. She was under their management. No! What the actual fuck? In what world did she have to listen to what she was being told by them in when it pertains to her child? Show me a document that she signed. This is crazy. Y'all are crazy. People are crazy. Eat my ass, Lindsay. There was conflicting testimony given between Mom and John and Brianna as to where everybody was during this encounter. John goes to credibility again of witnesses and how they were actually feeling regarding this incident. John testified on the first day that he is physically and mentally affected by his mother being mentally affected by this case and by the publicity that she has to turn off her phone because anytime something bad is said about her online, she's bothered by it. But then we have Mom or Grandma coming to the stand and confirming that on the day that the ex parte kidnapping RFO was filed, Grandma gave those documents to T-Pages voluntarily online before they became part of the public record. Told the T-Pages that the justification for this was because she was trying to get Brianna's attention. I must have missed this, just so we're clear. I can't speak on whether or not this... Lola, chill. I don't remember any of this. So if anybody can send me anything... Yeah, what T-Page did she send this to? Where did she... She's aware. Hold on. Let me go back and read it. But then we have Mom or Grandma coming to the stand and confirming. Can you repeat that last part? I'll read the whole thing. But then we have Mom or Grandma coming to the stand and confirming that on the day that the ex parte kidnapping RFO was filed, Grandma gave those documents to T-Pages voluntarily online before they became part of the public record. Told the T-Pages that the restraining order later that week was being filed, and her justification for this was because she was trying to get Brianna's attention. What lawyer's office was she at that was video? Wait, what? I don't remember this at all. They're not even talking about clips. They're saying that Jen, John's mother, went to some T-Pages, I guess privately, and said, here is, let's see. The ex parte kidnapping RFO was filed. Basically gave the RFO filing to the T-Pages voluntarily online before they became part of the public record. This is the very first time I've ever heard of this. What are y'all... I don't know what's happening in the chat right now. I think we're talking about two different things. Who's Kimberly? Oh, wait. Like Kimberly? Kimberly? I'm from Dallas. Thank you for telling me. Okay, well, nobody in here seems to know, so I don't remember that either, so we'll just table it, I guess, and I'll look into it. I'm not going to say it's true or not true. I don't really know. Do I have a mod that can answer? But where's the proof of that? And we don't have the transcripts of John's mom saying this on the stand, right? It was only shared. But where is the proof that John's mom shared this with a T-Page? Also, Kimberly isn't a T-Page, just so we're clear. It was not forecourt yet. She had not hired a lawyer. She was looking... I don't know what you're talking about. OU Bite 2. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you're talking about Brianna. I think you're talking about something totally separate than what we're talking about. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Right, they have to prove she sent it to a T-Page. They're saying that I will try to find it and share it to you. I'm driving right now. I don't know, but I don't know what you're talking about. It's not about you sending me anything. Thank you, Jack and Jill, for the galaxy. Thanks, Pookies. Love that journey for us. Oh, wait, we already filled that on the gift gallery, huh? We only have one more thing. Let's see if we can get it. Anyway, I'll have to look into it, but I don't think that this is true, and it would not surprise me one bit if this was all like made up. Okay, so to fill the last thing on the gift gallery, we just need one person to send 5 DJ glasses. Can we do it? If not, it's cool. Okay, let's move on. This is fucking insane, bro. I'm stressing out. Brianna's attention. And then when asked if she was aware if John tried to reach out to Brianna at all that day on the 24th, she said she was unsure, but multiple times he had tried. But then we see on Our Family Wizard that there was actually 0 attempts from Dad to reach out to Mom at all on the day that he dropped the music video and filed the ex parte motion. Why would he? What is the argument here? Why does he need to reach out to her? Can somebody explain that to me? Why does he, on the day that he dropped the music video and the day that he filed the ex parte motion, why does he then need to reach out to Brianna? Actually, I'm almost positive he was advised by counsel not to do so. I think it would have actually harmed him. Listen, I don't know. No, that's not at all. Hold on. Can somebody pin this comment? Llama Mama's comment real quick. And Llama Mama, I'm not attacking you. Can a mod pin that comment? Okay, so let me just say this. Set Brianna and John aside, right? Let me say that this was my situation, or this was me in this situation. Thank you for the money gun, babe. If I thought that somebody kidnapped my child, I'm not reaching out to that person that I think kidnapped my child and letting them know that I think they kidnapped my child. I'm reaching out to law enforcement. I don't care if it was my husband. I don't care if it was my mother. I don't care if it was my auntie, my uncle, my cousins. I don't care if it was the lady down the street. I'm not contacting you to then what? Confront you about potentially kidnapping my child? No, I'm reaching out to law enforcement. I'm going to the courts. I'm contacting my attorney. I am going through every other channel besides you. I don't think that's weird. I don't think it's weird at all. I'm not giving the person who I think took my child, whether or not the court ruled or wants to... Hell yeah, bitch. Mandy! Fuck it up, baby. I don't care if there was ever, like, if the court ever decided, okay, yes, this was... Why did he think that? Because I think that he was under the understanding that her visits were to be solely in Texas. So by taking W, by her own admission, calling it Angel, thank you, babe, calling it, she called it. Let's be clear. The word kidnapping, oh, Jesus Christ. Your arguments, they have no basis, right? So why is a grown man in another man's family court case? Because I fucking want to. Remove them. Okay, hey, hold on. Listen, Onyx, Nova, you spamming the fucking live isn't going to get you any more attention than you thought you were going to get. Because I want to, and because that's what I do, and I'll continue to do so. So that's why. Pookie. Little Pookie butt. If you got a problem with it, I don't know, eat my ass. Whatever you got to do. Right, because he graduated from Harvard. The fuck? I know that's right, Becky. Thank you, Madison. How are you, baby? How did he know if he didn't try to contact her? Because she was live streaming it. What are you talking about? She live streamed the entire thing. She live streamed the entire time she had him in that house. What do you mean, how did he know? We all knew. What do you... No. Not just for over 2 hours. Are y'all new fans? She was literally on... Oh, Abby's talking to them, not me. I don't know what the argument is here. I'm just confused. Like, I don't... Correct. Thank you, Yoli. Thank you for pointing that out. Not only did she live stream the entire thing, she literally talked about it on live stream days before. Oh my God. You're making arguments that are irrelevant. Okay, so in that moment, if that is what John believed that the court... Or don't remove them, because I do want to have this conversation. That is what John is saying that he believed to be true, right? Oh, I mean, I'm aware, Anastasia. I know what's happening. Okay, so if he believed that to be true, then he navigated the proper avenues and filed an ex parte via his attorney. No, but I know what you're doing. That's what trolls do is, and I'm not against you, like, but you know what you're doing. You're making arguments that are not there. One, none of your arguments have anything to do with this. Oh, we're not derailing anything. False what, Erica? What do you mean you didn't know I would read your comment? I read all the comments. Let me just say this. First of all, I need a bum break. Ooh, Pookie, you're looking wild, child. What are you saying false to? Hi, Ange. Let me just say this. When it comes to this whole situation, there will never be a time that somebody comes to me and they never have, and provides valid and substantive sorry, my hair is crazy right now. Substantive arguments that prove anything that her attorney is arguing in court. One, she doesn't know what she's arguing in court. She has to be guided by the fucking judge the entire fucking time. Two, you were on my prayer page. I stopped and listened and asked a question. My bad. Okay, well, Mama, listen, I'm not against you, but let's just be real on what you're arguing here. You're making irrelevant arguments. This is what happened, okay? So let's take the fucking kidnapping off the table. At the very least, she held that child hostage. Again, you can argue with your fucking mama about this one. When the cops showed up with a court order saying you must return over the child, at that moment, in the state of Texas where I live, she would have had to have immediately... Okay, so what are we... And also this whole, like, how did he know she was there? Because she live streamed the entire thing. You know that. You know that she live streamed the entire thing. She talked about it days before. Man, this hair is a hot mess right now. Like, that's what I'm saying. You're asking questions that you already know the answers to. You're asking them for the sake of, like, an argument, of, like, a back and forth. I've given you that for now. But I'm done doing that, okay? We're going to continue reading the documents. If you'd like to continue arguing, then, you know, I don't know. I just don't know what is the argument here? What is and like, what's the basis for it? Like, you're not giving me anything to, like, I don't know. There's nothing... I don't know, dude. I'm sorry, but I'm not understanding it. Ooh, what's a zodiac wheel? Sorry. I'm changing my live goal because it's telling me that I should change it. So, anyway, okay. I thought he couldn't find W because he tried reaching her. That's all. No, he never made that claim. He never made that claim. Kidnapping, no. It wasn't Texas, it was Cali. What wasn't Texas, it was Cali. I understand that. I'm saying that if this situation had happened in the state of Texas, they would have given her one opportunity to hand over W, and they would have kicked the fucking door in. Because in the state that I live in the state that I understand how custody agreements work and how the law works, there would have been no back and forth for 2 fucking hours standing outside making negotiations and waiting on her to fucking get input from her friends that are posing as fucking managers and some bitch on the phone. There would have been none of that. There would have been no 7 police officers stood outside while that child was in harm's way, while that child sat in a house full of fucking predators and convicted fucking felons. Against court orders. Those police officers showed up at that house with a court order. So, I don't... It was a friend. I don't know. Brianna claims that it wasn't a lawyer. Brianna's the one who testified that it wasn't an attorney. It was one of Jordan's old family friends. I don't know. Probably somebody that helped him when he was in the car scamming business. I don't really know. What I do know is that you're never going to convince me. There's never going to be a day that you're going to convince me that woman does not actively choose to put her child in harm's way. To put her... No, not Itai's. What do you mean Itai's brother? Jordan. But we're getting off track. I got to get back to this. Not in her comments. On the phone, my love. On the phone. The person that was on the phone. On the phone. On the phone. On the phone, my love. I'm sweating. I'm literally sweating. I'm about to shit myself in this chair. Guys, I'm low on diapers, okay? Yeah. Hayden, turn the comments off, please. Thank you, my love. I got to get through this. This is taking far too long, okay? He said this piece was disturbed when some TikToker named GTA threatened to release his address, claiming that Brianna directed this. It's important to note that, I'll turn it back on in a second, that in Exhibit 16, which was their moving papers on the restraining order, this allegation or this set of facts was not mentioned at all. Even though John's testimony in the courtroom was that he allegedly saw this clip in December of 2024, yet we know the restraining order was filed 3 months later in March of 2025. This was his lead, most compelling testimony on the first day that we heard his testimony on Friday. But there was nothing presented in his exhibit list. He said there was clips. We saw none of those clips. Brianna confirmed. Thank you, Jersey. I appreciate you, my love. Thank you for all the gifts. We saw none of those clips. Brianna confirmed that she doesn't know this person personally, only met him once in real life in a group setting, and had no conversation with him. Never directed him to say anything about her or about John online. Of course, because Brianna, this is what Brianna does every time she's confronted with a situation. She literally feigns ignorance and pretends like she has no fucking idea what's going on or why these people would have said this or what. She has no idea about anything. Literally nothing. Ever. John testified his piece was disturbed when Brianna was calling him an abuser online. He denied ever being in the car with Brianna in Florida when she was pregnant. We later saw him go live in one of the clips that we showed where he was talking about that exact incident, playing a recording from that exact incident. Brianna shared her testimony as to the physical abuse that occurred in the car when she was pregnant and shared her photos. We also saw the clip of John being interviewed by Perez Hilton about this, and he was laughing about it and saying no comment as to the allegations of DV. Said that his piece was disturbed when Brianna took W from California to Texas last November, but then Brianna confirmed through her testimony that there was no restraining order, no ex parte, no nothing done over this. So the timing of all of those exact things being done the day after the music videos dropped, when John is already in LA per his own testimony, is questionable at best. John said his piece was disturbed when Santos was harassing him online. Then we went into extensive testimony about how they used to have a friendly relationship and friendly online banter, but that changed when Brianna and him broke up and she started dating Santos. Him and Brianna had been broken up for like a fucking year. What are you talking about, Lindsay? Lindsay, shut the fuck up. And he continuously claimed that he was afraid of this person while simultaneously admitting that he taunts him online on purpose because he monetizes greatly off of taunting. 2K must be the richest person in the entire world. Apparently he's monetizing off of everything. Excuse me. So to the court's tentative about the hotel situation, another situation with Santos. Brianna's testimony about that was not that she was there. It was that the specific commentary about Chris knocking on the door and the "we" words was about the day before, not the actual video of Santos and another man outside of John's hotel. And again, John is claiming that his peace was disturbed because he was scared of Santos in general. He claims that his peace was disturbed on that evening, that Santos was allegedly outside, but then he again says, I purposely taunt this person online for money. So I'm not really sure how credible it is. First and foremost, Lindsay, you should know the difference because you're an attorney. Again, I understand that you got your law degree at one of the worst ranked law schools in the entire country. I think the 103rd or 104th ranked law schools. But you should know this because you do have indeed a law degree. There's a big difference in somebody using their words, whether it be online or offline, and somebody trying to incite physical violence against someone. But again, you're the attorney, not me. Well, I did get my law degree from Harvard last night. So, and if you don't believe me, I want somebody to argue this. I quite literally... Oh. Also, I got my certification in cosmetology the other day. That's how I did such a bang-up job on my hair. And, here we go. And I have, from Harvard University, a family law degree. This certifies that Shelby Jeffcoat has been awarded the degree of family law. So, argue with somebody else, Pookie. So I'm not really sure how credible it is that he is afraid of this person, or in particular, he was afraid of this person that night when he was nowhere in the video. He didn't come outside, and we don't. Santos was not here. Santos was not subpoenaed as a witness. So nobody laid foundation as to when that video was actually shot on Santos's phone. Do we know? It wasn't a video, numbnuts. It was a live stream that, yes, can be verified as to what date it was live streamed. What is not clocking to her? Like, fuck, shit for brains. Get it together. Pop one of your clients' addies and come correct, mama. Do we know it was actually that night? No, we don't. Yes, we do, dum-dum. John says he knows because he was staying in the hotel that night, but there was no, as the court brought up, no metadata from someone's phone, no custodian. Okay, well then if that's true, then that would be a ball dropped on their side, whatever. No custodian of record from TikTok or Snapchat or wherever that video came from. It's not a video, it's a live stream. You're talking about clips from afterwards. I'm talking about how a live stream can be verified. Anyway, no subpoena to the party that actually shot that video to pull it up on his phone and show that it was the night that John was actually staying there. So again, we are missing a lot of pieces to connect the dots that was even an authentic video shot by Santos when John was actually in the hotel. And then certainly major credibility concerns regarding his alleged fear on that night, or just of Santos in general, when he says he purposely pokes the bear online to make more money. Poking the bear online to make more money is far different than him inciting violence. Like he's not poking. Anyway, fucking shut up. I don't have time to argue with this. John also said his peace was disturbed when Brianna accused him of SA online, but then confirmed through his own testimony that it wasn't actually her accusing him of SA on the court. Counsel, respectfully, I know you got a lot, but I would like you maybe just to direct your argument to the tentative in my ruling, because I said the basis of my ruling is not these alleged defamatory statements. I mean, you can, but I think I've been very clear about the basis of my ruling. Ms. Fonseca. Okay, so if we're just talking about the hotel then what I just said would be, I guess, my rebuttal to the court's tentative is Santos was here. Santos was here. He knows where Santos is. Santos could have been subpoenaed. We could have subpoenaed the custodian of records to Snapchat to verify when a video was actually taken. It wasn't a video on Snapchat, numbnuts. Just because Santos posted a video showing a hotel sign does not mean he was there when John was actually staying there. John had offered no testimony to say, I knew he was actually outside. I went to the front desk and peeked out the window and saw him. I called the front door and had security go outside and check. I had a note on my car that he left. He gave no testimony to connect the video of Santos, which again, my client is not in the video. She is not heard off of the video. Her testimony was that the we comments and the specific comments about knocking on the door was a separate incident the day before. Just because she testifies that doesn't negate the facts of the situation. Brianna can testify all fucking day long. Lindsay Fonseca Esquire. That does not negate the actual facts of what's happening, which is not the basis of John's allegation of fear regarding Santos, not an allegation of fear regarding Brianna. So again, if that is the hyper-focus of what the court is saying is a credible threat or John's credible claim of being afraid, I would say we're missing a lot of pertinent details, which would be the authenticity of this person's body actually being outside of the hotel, making this threat when John was there, because the court, hold on, real quick. And then also, just the other, I don't want to keep cutting you off, but I'm worried we're going to run out of time for custody and visitation. So I'll let you finish on that. And the court's basis wasn't only on that. It was all the threatening statements that I read. So I don't think it makes sense to address the alleged defamatory because I was pretty clear about my ruling on that. So anything else on that, Miss Fonseca, back to Lindsay. So as to the two where she is wearing the sunglasses and says something about the kidnapping, her testimony was that she was reading the TTS, the live chat comments during her kick stream, making those comments so that wasn't, she also testified that was a joke. Everything's a joke to her. She's a fucking joke. She never intended to kidnap W from his supervised visits in Dallas, which was another clip that they played, and that she was just reading the live stream. She didn't intend to kidnap him from his supervised visits in Dallas, yet never mind, I don't have time, which was another clip that they played, and that she was just reading the live stream chat during the sunglasses clips that we watched. And on the boat clip that we watched at the nighttime, well, I guess I should say as to all these clips, she testified that W wasn't there and it wasn't her custodial time. But as to the boat clip, as she testified, she was just saying that if anyone takes her baby, it's going to be a problem. She didn't specifically say Jennifer. She didn't specifically say John. So I think that somebody that is served with a restraining order, ex parte, etc., within 1 month of giving birth, after going through a pregnancy by herself, being in LA by herself, and all this being on the internet, certainly gives her an emotional basis on which to direct general comments as she testified to the world that she is upset, that she feels like everybody is trying to take her baby away. The court, did she have testimony that she was served with restraining order 1 month after giving birth? Ms. Fonseca, yes. Ms. Butnick, no. The restraining order wasn't even brought up. We had a lot of argument over whether we could even mention the prior restraining order. It was not even brought up. The court, I don't believe there was testimony. Ms. Butnick, there wasn't. The court, when she was served with the restraining order, Lindsay, get your fucking shit together. Listen, if I was Bree, which she's too fucking vapid to even understand what's going on in this moment, I would be pissed at my attorney. She is one of the least prepared attorneys I have ever seen. When she was served with a restraining order, and that was a month after giving birth, I did not hear any testimony. We're going to run out of time, so I'll give you a few more minutes because we still have to do custody and visitation. She has to respond. Ms. Fonseca, so I think the only other ones left that you were mentioning is the two different video clips of her mentioning burning down a city. John's testimony and his mother's testimony was that we assumed that Brianna was talking about this about us and our city because we just made that assumption. There was no testimony that drew those comments to John or those comments to Dallas or those comments to Grandma. And Brianna's testimony was also that I was just making those comments in general. I wasn't directing them to anyone. To the court's point about the directness of alleged threats, this is Brianna talking and repeating what people are typing on a kick stream in live chat, And then, no, it's not. What are you talking about? That's not true. This whole thing about I'll burn cities down, all this shit, pew her in the face, all this shit. This is her just saying it. She's not reading. What are you talking about? Lindsay, on a kick stream and live chat, and then other people clipping these and posting them all over the internet. And like the court said, John claims that she was blocked, but he also claims that he is continuously seeing this stuff. So I don't know if that's credible or not, but she's not making direct threats at John. She's not making direct threats at Jen. She might have called Jen fat. She might have said that she doesn't like John's hair, but is that enough for a basis of a restraining order? That's not all she said. Shit for brains. Again, this is not a CHRO against Mom. Mom was never listed as a protected party. These are not direct threats. These are public figures. This is not my client ever once blowing up his phone, blowing up his text messages, having Santos or anybody else on her behalf doing anything like that. And the cases that we cited in our trial brief are clear in the restraining order context, and specifically the case the court kept bringing up today. The restraining order, I guess, field is not the place to settle disputes between ex-lovers. This is to protect somebody's peace. And I don't think any of the testimony that Dad gave about his peace being disturbed, especially based on the weak of the kidnapping and what happened during that week was credible whatsoever. It's so funny that her own attorney several times references it as a kidnapping. You don't drop a diss track about your ex-girlfriend the same day that you file an ex parte motion based on kidnapping and then stream the entirety of it and admit to making 6 figures off of it in a single week. The court. Okay, Ms. Budnick. So first, I do agree with the court's tentative that my client has met his burden to show that a permanent restraining order is warranted. Specifically, Family Code Section 6203 allows a restraining order to be reissued based on the types of conduct that can be enjoined pursuant to Family Code 6320. That section is very clear that threatening conduct is the type of conduct that can be enjoined. It's the type of conduct that warrants a restraining order. While I also believe that there has been harassing conduct, I think that it is neither here nor there at this point, because the important thing is that a restraining order will be issued to protect my client. The court needs to find the incident of abuse to issues a restraining order. I know my client has presented evidence of countless threats, not just statements that are online bullying as they've been described or statements that disturb his peace. We are talking about direct and explosive threats. I will fuck you up. I will fuck you up and your mom up. Threats that are communicated on the internet and threats that are communicated in person and threats that have been communicated after the temporary restraining order was issued. A violation of a temporary restraining order also gives the court grounds to issue a permanent restraining order. My client has effectively been terrorized by Ms. Olsen since January of this year, at least as far as the evidence we presented today. The threats predate the March 25th incident that we had focused on, and there are threats that occurred after the March 25th incident that we had focused on. I think he has more than met his burden to show that abuse has occurred, and he needs a restraining order for his protection. I agree with the court's tentative. The court. All right, thank you. So because we went in a weird order, I'm going to give Ms. Fonseca the last word, but to say, if you want to, oh my God, again? If you want to contest anything she said or anything that hasn't already been said, Ms. Fonseca, just refocus on the hotel piece, that they had the opportunity to bring in this witness and to bring in actual ways of authenticating that video, and none of that was done, I assume, strategically, because John, again, did not testify that he had any basis on which to claim that he knew Santos was outside, besides the fact that Santos uploaded a video. Oh, okay, we got it. So honestly, for lack of a better term, I find it to be extremely flimsy evidence. That was the word you chose? Flimsy? Lindsay. When this person is local, the metadata could have been subpoenaed. This trial has been on calendar for a very long time. So if that was their biggest piece of evidence, I would say that the connection to it actually being authentic evidence that he was outside, again, without my client there. Nobody ever said my client was there, was off-site with the camera or anything. I just don't think that they met their burden on that one piece of evidence when there are easily available ways to authenticate that. They're saying was real, but those steps were skipped. The court. All right. Submitted. Ms. Butnick. Submitted. The court. All right. Evidence can be authenticated a lot of different ways. Certainly, you can bring in metadata, but a party can also testify that accurately looks like the hotel I was at doing. I think he talked about a social media convention. There were also social media stars, including Santos. He testified he was there, and then shortly thereafter, we had Ms. Olsen's testimony. And again, it's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a preponderance of the evidence. That fact that somebody didn't bring in evidence, in criminal law, there's a jury instruction not to necessarily consider all the evidence that someone couldn't have brought in. There's also, even in the beyond a reasonable doubt context, the testimony of one witness can be enough to dispute that. Mr. Gacy testified he was there. Mr. Santos, I don't know what his last name is, not Mr. Santos, Sandra, has put himself there. And then we have the corroborating evidence of Miss Olsen, sort of corroborating everything but that wasn't the only thing. It was the other threats. And so the court, and you'll note, I didn't spend much time on what happened with the exchange of the child. I did not, because I think it was equivocal. And I think that interaction is the kind of thing that those cases talked about where not all custody disputes can be the basis of a DVRO. I'm not sure, and I'm sure it was awful to not know where your child was, but do I think that the physical evidence, the video we saw, were not necessarily consistent with Mr. Gacy or his mom being particularly upset? They were live streaming. There was no evidence of the throwing up, etc. But again, that's not what the court focused its ruling on. It was the incident of the hotel and the prior threats, and of course the behavior during that incident. The water pew-pews, I guess, had some weight to it. Again, those alone may not have been enough. So for all those reasons, I do believe it's appropriate to issue a restraining order. I will say this, it's going to be a short one. It's going to be a year, and I'm going to order you to do a parenting class. Not a domestic violence class, a parenting class. My understanding, I believe your client is with child again, correct? Ms. Fonseca, is what? Lindsay, get it together, Pookie. with child again. Yes, she did do one of those paid parenting classes through Cornerstone. That's on the court's list. Bitch, she just asked you if your client is pregnant, baby. Pregnant, Linz. Not anything about the parenting class. That's on the court list. How long was it? How many weeks? It was private, like a private thing with the owner where they did private sessions. And I took a test. I think I offered to do them alongside John, which was the offer from the owner of the company, the court. Oh, wow. I'm going to order him to do one separately. Miss Olsen, I did one recently when you ordered supervised visits. Good. That's how recent it was. Okay. Because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the restraining order valid for a year. So here's the answer to y'all's fucking question. That they're questioning whether or not the parenting class that she already did would cover this one. No, it wouldn't, because you brought it up in court. It's here in the transcripts. The judge acknowledges that you did it, but doesn't say that it will suffice for the one that they want you to do. And then, even after this, in the minute order, literally orders you to take a fucking parenting class of 12 weeks. So what is the confusion here? Or unless I'm reading this wrong, I don't know. Because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the restraining order valid for a year. We're going to come back in 6 months because under 3044, there is a presumption against joint legal and joint physical, and you can overcome that presumption with certain things. Domestic violence, which I don't think is appropriate here, but parenting class is. So if you come back and show me your parenting class, the court may very well consider changing the presumption. We're now on to, let me read the order real quick because we're running out of time. I'm not going to make any special orders regarding enjoining particular conduct about posting because my fear is that will be challenged right away and may not very well be successful. I'm going to follow the standard orders in a domestic violence restraining order. I'll have it to both of you, and you guys both have two phenomenal attorneys. No, they don't. You literally coached fucking Lindsay all the way through this. You really do. And I will leave it to them to provide you guidance as to whether or not something is violating or not. So it's going to be, I can't prohibit them from posting. I recognize that's how they make their livelihood. I'm not going to prohibit them from making defamatory statements. I hope you wouldn't, because that's a separate issue. You have a child together and you have said some horrible things about each other online. Absolutely horrible. And now I'm putting on a different hat. I've now moved away from my DVRO hat and I'm onto my custody and visitation hat. And that kind of stuff I can take into account when I make custody orders. So you both need to prove to me that you can do a lot better as it relates to your child and what you say about each other. Because W is going to get old enough at some point to go look at all that stuff. And he's going to see this, I agree with. Going to see what you said about his mom, and he's going to see what you said about his dad. Think about that. When he's 12 years old and he's in middle school and he's embarrassed and he has all his new buddies and they're going to go online. Hey, see that your mom said about your dad when you were little? Hey, see what your dad said about your mom? I feel sorry for him when that happens. I'm screaming, not Siri, trying to make an appearance. So I want you to both think long and hard about that. All right, Ms. Olsen, you're ordered not to harass, strike, threaten, assault, sexually, or otherwise hit, follow, stalk, molest, destroy the personal property of, keep under surveillance, impersonate, block movements of, annoy by phone or other electronic means, or disturb the peace of Mr. Gacy. Disturb the peace means to destroy someone's mental or emotional calm. This can be done directly or indirectly, such as through someone else. This can also be done in any way, such as by phone, over text, or online. Disturbing the peace includes coercive control. Coercive control means a number of acts that unreasonably limit the free will and individual rights of the person protected by the restraining order. I didn't see any evidence of coercive control, so I'm not going to go through that. You must not contact Mr. Gacy, whatever it is, directly or indirectly by any means, including by telephone, email, or other electronic means, except they do Our Family Wizard. They do use Our Family Wizard, except through Our Family Wizard. There's an exception to that. You may have brief and peaceful contact with Mr. Gacy to online communicate, to only communicate about your children for court-ordered visits. You may have contact with your children, W, only during court-order visits. We're going to talk about the visitation in a second. You must stay 100 yards away from Mr. Gacy and his home. For an exception is for you to exchange your children for court-ordered visits. You must do so briefly and peacefully for you to visit with your children for court-ordered contacts or visits. I'm going to order you to do a parenting class. If you've already done one, great. At least a 12 weeks. So I know there's private, but there are court-sponsored ones that I really would like her to do. So where is the fucking confusion? The judge is acknowledging that you did one privately. Now it's time to do the court-ordered one. It was the facility on the floor of the LACS. Okay, she can turn it in and the court will take it. Okay. So actually, I stand corrected. Hold on. Actually, let's continue reading. She can turn it in and the court will take it, okay? We already did file that. Okay, we'll just put that already been filed. Do you have any objection to what are you aware? I don't know the details of the class, and I think if it doesn't meet what the court has in mind, I can make my objection. I'll say anything already completed may count, so I'm not going to make her do any more. Okay. So what is the confusion? So the judge told you don't have to do any more. What are we fucking arguing about? Mr. Gacy, whatever, may record any communications you make in violation of this court. All right, here's what I'm going to do regarding custody and visitation. Right now, I'm going to award sole legal to Mr. Gacy, I think I have to under the 3044 presumption, but you can overcome that presumption. You can overcome that presumption by taking the parenting class. So wait, so does she have to take the parenting class or not? I'm so confused. Okay, well, I guess we'll find out. I'm not going to order supervised visits anymore. My understanding is the supervised visits supervised visits have gone well. There's never been any physical harm to W as far as I can see. However, I do not like videos and pictures of your young child on the bed, and people are vaping and smoking. My understanding from your attorney, you are no longer living in the MILF house. Is that correct? I have my own apartment. Wonderful. All right. What I would like to do, so I'm going to say no travel with W outside of the state of California during your custodial time in California. You're not going to have custodial time in California right away. You'll eventually get it, or you can't take W out of Texas during your custodial time in Texas. My sense is you've learned a very important lesson about the whole thing with LAPD. Thank God nobody got hurt, but they could have been. When our law enforcement show up and say they're outside, it's not a joke. When I asked how old your managers were, I don't mean it to be disrespectful, but a 21-year-old and 22-year-old does not know about the law unless they went to law school. They gave you terrible advice. I heard it all. You were lucky you were not arrested. Bitch. Exactly. So how on earth? Never mind. You are lucky no one was hurt. When law enforcement says turn over your child, you turn over your child. You have to do it. My sense is because you're a public figure, you're not going to do that again because they know where to find you. I think right now there is not a basis for supervised visits. I would like you to have overnight visits with your son. I know you're dying for it. I know you do. My sense is you're a different person now than who you were a couple of months ago. You're a young woman. You are going to continue to learn. You have another child coming soon. No, she doesn't. How dumb is this judge going to feel when she realizes this was all a big fucking skit? You both make your living on the internet. I've heard so many things that just really cause me such great concern, but there's nothing I can do because you're going to continue to do it because you continue to earn money. And it is what it is, but I can take into account what you say and do on the internet in terms of when I award custody and visitation. You are not scot-free in this, Mr. Gacy. You said some really horrible things. You made some really bad choices, I think. I understand that's how you make your life, your living. It is hard for me I will say, it is hard for me to hear that you were stressed out about all these other things, and then you're posting out in the hallway, you're making videos about it. It rings a little hollow. I mean, it was enough for the DVRO, but it rings a little hollow. So either you care about your child and want to raise your child. Don't talk the way you talk about your child's mother on the internet. Same thing with you. You guys may ignore me because you make a lot of money doing it. That's your choice. But my sense is the other side will bring me in those videos the next time we discuss custody and visitation. That's why I'm allowing her to have unsupervised visits. What I'm going to say is, did you girls have a chance to talk about a meet and confer? Not you girls. Ms. Budnick, we didn't. My ask would be, at least initially, that the visits take place in Dallas, and I would ask for an order that Santos not be present at the visits in any capacity. That's absolutely going to happen. I'm not going to bash. I don't know if he's the father of your other child, but he's made some poor decisions. She doesn't have another child. He should. I will. Why don't we put in the order he cannot film? You just said film was, I do not want Santos at those visits. There was already an incident. I don't know whose fault it is, but there are those people who are red flags for other people. He's a red flag for Mr. Gacy, so you should focus your visits in Texas on your child and not Mr. Santos. So here's what I'm going to do. I knew we were going to run out of time, all right? I was hoping you guys were going to meet and confer. I guess that didn't happen, so let's do this. I'm going to set the 6-month review date. I hate to do it, but I'm going to do it. Right now, all visits will occur in Texas unsupervised. The parties can meet and confer as to the schedule for those. Ms. Fonseca, Your Honor, that's not going to work. The court. Well, it's 4:30. I know. I'm fucking screaming. The court. Counsel, respectfully, I said from day 1, day 2, and day 3, we're going to run out of time. That's why this morning I said I would like you all to meet and confer. Nobody did it. I'm at 4:30. I've given you guys a day longer than this case could have taken because nobody followed my orders. So you're going to meet and confer. You're going to meet and confer. That is this court's order. All of the visits we're at 4:30 right now. We had 2 days. We had all of lunch to work this out. You did not. I'm not keeping my staff late because you guys didn't meet and confer. So all of the visits are going to be in Texas for the first 6 months. So if anybody was confused about that order, about where it says like after the first month, here it is in black and white. So all of the visits are going to be in Texas for the first 6 months. You guys will meet and confer as to a schedule. If you can't meet and confer, my sense is someone will come to court with an RFO. When we'll do a 6-month review date, when she shows me proof that she's finished the parenting class and all of that, and assuming those visits have gone well, then we'll discuss visits in California. That will be the court's order. Let's get a review date. Ms. Fonseca, it's Texas, right? Not Dallas? Dallas. It's not in California. No, because the airport. Texas is huge. Here we go. This is where we're going to get into this. We're going to figure this out. Borders a county line. So the airport is actually closer to a county that's not Dallas County. So is it Texas as a whole or Dallas County? Miss Olsen, I would have to get an Airbnb out in Dallas County where my family doesn't live in Dallas County. The court. Okay, where does your family live? They live in Corpus Christi, Texas, and they also live... Where do you live? Mr. Gacy, I live in Dallas. Okay, again, this is why I said meet and confer. It is now 4:30. Your attorneys were told at 10:30 today we were going to run out of time. I told them to meet. They did not. I'm not letting it's on you guys. Here's the order. If we met and conferred, we wouldn't be here now. So where does he live, Ms. Butnick? The child and my client live in Dallas. Corpus would require a flight. So if it's in the vicinity of Dallas and surrounding counties, I think that's probably a fair compromise. Okay, here's what I will do. I'm urging both of these attorneys to work together. The visits will be in Dallas and surrounding counties, except if you guys can work it out amongst yourself. Black and white, Bree. Did you not think we were going to get the transcripts? And overnights, correct? And they are overnights. They can be 3-day weekends. I'm good with up to 3 days. If she wants more, you guys can meet and confer as to that. Oh, wait. So she wasn't even granted. So when are we going to talk about that, Bree? Because he's giving you a full week. This says... Hold on, am I reading this correctly? They can be 3-day weekends. I'm good with up to 3 days. Am I... Hold on. What? I'm good with up to... So when were we going to talk about... If she wants more, you guys can meet and confer as to that. Okay. So at least, let's say once a month, it can go up to a week. This is why, again, when I said meet and confer, this is what I meant. I did not want to be doing this at 4:30, and here we are. Okay. So she can have at least one up to a week long... Okay, here we go. My bad. See? I'm wrong sometimes too. Not often, though. A week-long visit, a month overnight with, and maybe that will negate the issue of travel because if she has a full week, she can work out her schedule. The parties are ordered to meet and confer regarding that schedule. Up to a week, once a month. Unsupervised in Dallas or surrounding counties. We will do a 6-month review date, assuming... So this clarifies all this whole bullshit that Bree and her attorney are doing about Thanksgiving or Christmas, right? Because the argument is that she's allowed to take this is what she's telling everyone, that she's allowed to take W anywhere in the state of Texas. Why? Because her dumbass probably wasn't paying attention and her attorney didn't understand what was going on. Morons. We will do a 6-month review date. Assuming those are going well, the court will switch and have some of those visits in Los Angeles, assuming she's still living there. Santos is not to be present at any of the custody visitations in Texas. That may change. My sense is that she gets more pregnant. There may be harder issue with travel. We'll address those when I think we can set this for the move away, because we don't need to do the move away at some... Because... Don't we need to do the move away at some point? At some point, we're going to need final orders. So I think that would make sense. My only other question would be, can we get an order that Miss Olsen provide the location where she'll be with the child via OFW? Absolutely. Okay. All right. Let's do a 6-month review date, and maybe should we set that? Why don't we do this? I don't want to do a 6-month. Let me do a 3-month review date. And at some point, she's going to get more pregnant, and then there may be an issue with flying. Let's see how the Texas things are working. Miss Fonseca can bring me all the proof and just argue it again about the parenting classes. At that point, I'm going to set a PPA also, probably in conjunction with the move away. So let's do for the first 3 months, she can see Winter up to a week at a time in Dallas and the surrounding counties. Sanchez is not to be present at any of those visits. You have to abide by this order. It is going to be up to you to make a determination of whether what you post on the internet violates this order. You have a very good attorney next to you, and I'm sure she will provide you with that guidance. I'm sure Lindsay will not. Hopefully the parties can meet and confer on a holiday schedule. Miss Butnick, definitely. The court. Because I definitely don't have the time to do it. We'll set... Girl, if you want to spend so many times asking for case law, we'll set a review hearing date. You guys can always file an RFO. Well, why don't we just do... Girl, why don't we just... You're the one prolonging this. I'm pretty open in January. It's just the last week of January I'm out. The court. My sense is on that review date, we will discuss switching the visitations to California. Can you do January 8th? I can do January 8th, 8:30. Yes. What day of the week is that? A Thursday. Okay. Can you guys do January 6th? Not January 6th. That also works. That's fine. All right. Okay. So I think I've said enough. You'll get a copy of the order. I wish you all the best of luck. Remember, everything you post, the other side is going to see. And if the other side sees it, you can guarantee they are going to show it to me. Miss Fonseca, is that 8:30? Yeah, Lindsay, pay attention. Yes. I think respondent needs to wait for the restraining order to be served. Can I pull a copy from the court website? Sure. Okay. And that way we're not all waiting. Okay. Best of luck to you all. Proceedings were concluded. Turn the chat back on. Y'all, I have to do a bump break and I have to piss. That should not have taken this long, and I'm fucking irritated as fuck. But I gotta go pee. And I gotta do a bump. BRB. Maybe. Bitch, what the actual fuck did I just read? Hold on, y'all. Let me get situated. I'm all out of sorts. What just happened? God. I wish fucking Angie was here. Or, yeah, I wish Angie was here. Or, like... I don't know. Not it's 4:30. I'm screaming. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Hold Hold on. Give me a second, Pookies. I'm trying to get re-situated again. Get out of my way. Okay. Fuck. It's fucking hot. I got sweat in fucking places that I shouldn't have fucking sweat.